What's up guys, Alex here from SBC with another new video for the Smart Betting Club. This time we're talking about priming new betting accounts. I'm going to go into the do's and don'ts for making your brand new betting account last longer, even as a shrewd bettor. So in this video we're going to talk about the do's for sort of certain tactics to use to try and make your betting account last longer. And then we're also going to go into the don'ts of some of these are the complete opposite of the do's, of course. But these are all tips to help make your betting account last a little bit longer in order to extract as much profit as possible. We're then going to talk about offsetting, which is going to help you lose as little money as possible when going through these tactics. So why do we want to prime betting accounts? Well, it's quite obvious, really. We want to extend the life of our bookmaker betting accounts. These can obviously sometimes be quite short-lived, especially if you're going to try and take value or shrewd bets straight away. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to not take the value straight away, not make shrewd bets. We're trying to look like a mug punter first of all, in order to gain a favourable rating, I guess, with the bookmaker. So ultimately here, our goal is to extend the life of our betting accounts, meaning that will hopefully let us make more profit in the long run. We're going to go into the do's and don'ts to try and make this happen. This video is actually based on a couple of things. It's based on a blog article that we've recently written for the site. That blog article is actually based on an interview that was conducted with a bookmaker employee a couple of years back with SBC. That interview was talking about stake factoring at bookmakers. It's a really interesting article. It's actually one of the best articles that I've read on bookmakers limiting betting accounts and sort of profiling their customers in order to limit or restrict betting accounts. Highly recommend you give that a read. The link is here and it will be below the video. But essentially this is taking that interview and expanding it in order to come up with some tips and advice in order to make the most out of your betting accounts. And just one thing I should mention probably before we get into the do's and don'ts. This is not an exact science. It's still somewhat of a mystery in how this all works. There's probably a lot of luck involved in here as well as to whether your account will get picked up or not. But we think this is our best effort at trying to prime your betting account based on information from an actual bookmaker employee. So hopefully it will have some use and some success if you try and use it. So the do's then for trying to make your betting account last longer with the bookmakers. First of all, bet like a loser. So you want to be making bets that appeal to the bookmakers and that will make you look like a mug punter. Some examples of these are accumulators, multiples in general, and also betting on the casino. All those types of gambling activity will be looked favourably on by the bookmaker and will make you look like you're not a shrewd punter. So next, betting play on football, especially on the big games. Here the idea is to look bored. You're just on the betting application on the betting site and you fancy a punt and you put a bet on in-play football. Bookies look favourably on in-play football bets, so this is a good idea. Also bet at different stakes. It looks like you don't have a set strategy. Try and look random, different stakes. If you bet into a pattern, bookmakers will likely pick up on that. Also bet on a wide range of sports and markets. Again, try to look random. The less it looks like you've got a strategy, the better when trying to look like a mug punter. Also bet late and on favourites in horse racing. This looks like you're watching the racing and you just fancy a punt. Again, you're looking like you don't know what you're doing and you're just betting for a bit of fun. Bet on the same football team. This is what a lot of mug punters do. If they support a team, they'll probably back it. So look like you're a mug punter betting on the football team that you support. Bet on the overs markets. This is a popular mug bet and it is looked favourably upon by the bookmakers. Also bet via your mobile phone. This is usually the device used by a mug punter or recreational punter. That professional, semi-professional or value takers will usually bet on a laptop or desktop. And then lastly, bet when the bookmaker is a mile off best price. This is obviously the opposite to value betting or line shopping. If a bookmaker is not the best price, that will not get flagged up as a value bet with the bookmaker. So next we have the don'ts for advice when trying to prime your betting accounts and make them last longer. Some of these are just the opposite of the do's. And generally here you're obviously trying to avoid taking value or make sensible bets. So first of all, don't bet in a sensible, logical manner. Again, we're trying to look random. Don't look like you got a plan. Don't just bet on singles. Again, this is the opposite, obviously, to betting on ACCAs and multiples. ACCAs and multiples are generally worse value. Don't bet on racing into earlier markets, so typically the night before. These bets are not looked greatly upon by bookmakers. You can often find very good value here as the markets are not properly formed yet. So don't bet night before on horse racing markets. Don't bet on shrewd bets that might beat Betfair SP or closing line odds. It's highly likely, or possibly a fact that bookmakers will track closing line value. So if you're constantly taking closing line value, your accounts are not going to last that long. Don't take the free bet offers. This is probably, there is a chance that you might get seen as a match bettor. So if people are constantly taking the free bet offers, that will get, and only the free bet offers, that will get flagged as well. Don't bet into niche markets or sports that bookies are vulnerable on. Don't bet using a VPN. This can often flag with bookies, so is likely to cause an account closure, at least to start with anyway. Don't take a bet with a bookmaker when they are standout best price. Again, so this is just line shopping or value bet taking. If they are an obvious best price, that may get tracked and that may be flagged. And finally, don't click on links from a site like OddsChecker. Don't bet through OddsChecker. You'll see this in the stake factoring article that I mentioned before, but there is an OddsChecker stake factoring stake factor. So bookies will track if you've come from OddsChecker, and if you have, you will be limited on the bets and the money that you can get down. So then, offsetting. The idea here is to minimize your losses from mug bets. So the do section is all about placing bets that want to make you look like a mug or recreational punter. Now, if you're not doing anything to minimize those losses, there is a chance that all those bets you will lose money, and that will obviously come off your profit margin at the end. So with offsetting, we are trying to minimize those losses. How can we do that? Well, there's one major way that you can do that is that you can lay your win stake. Anybody who's done match betting in the past will be very familiar with this. You basically back a selection at the bookmaker, and then you lay that exact same selection at an exchange. That means you've got both sides of the bet covered, and your losses from that will only be what is called a qualifying loss, no matter what the result is. Details of that are in the blog that we've written. Again, below the video, all the details will be available. And then there's the other side to this, which is again gone into more detail in the blog article we've written. But it can be just worth losing some money anyway, and you may win some of your bets, and while also losing some of the bets, meaning that you won't lose every bet that you put on, won't lose that much money. Really good example here is when you're placing casino bets. They tend to have an RTP. A casino slot game will tend to have an RTP, which is a return to player, and that's a percentage that you can expect to, essentially money you can expect to return when playing these slot games. Typically, a an RTP percentage would be 95%. If that's the case, when you're making your bets, you can expect to return 95% of your cash, meaning that the house or the casino bookmaker will profit 5% of what you put down in the long run. That's how they make their money. So you can think about if you're only going to lose 5% of what you're betting on, and that 5% can totally be worth it in terms of the profit you're able to make in the future. So just something worth bearing in mind there. So that was just a really quick run through the do's and don'ts for priming your betting account. It's based on the blogging article that I mentioned, and we go into a lot more detail in that blogging article. So I highly recommend that you read that. I also recommend you read the estate factoring article, which was conducted by a former bookmaker employee. So another fascinating look into another angle on this. All those details will be below the video. So yeah, go check that out. As always, if you've got any questions, comments and suggestions, please let us know below the video. They are always welcome, and we will get back to you whenever we can. So that's it for this video, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers.